listening, in Peterborough, if you want to get something together yourself in terms of an event in a park, it's not difficult. And especially doing it without an entertainment's license, you just really need a license from the council to use the piece of land.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's not difficult to do, and once someone starts doing it, other people will get on and join on, because deep down everybody wants to do it. We all know it's a good basic thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think the point I'd make is that it's not that difficult. And we formed up a community interest company to run it, which is a lot easier to run than a normal limited company. It's not for profit, so it means that any assets such there are not owned by the directors. They're owned by the community, and if the company goes bust, any assets have to pass on to another CIC or charity. So it's an easy way to run small events. It's a good thing to do. The satisfaction of seeing hundreds, thousands of people coming together and just doing their thing, and without loud music.
Yes,
people find their own volume.
That's right. It sounds very positive.
It can be done in any park. It's just
it can be done across the country. That's right. Yeah. Well, so how, for those that might be interested and might want to take your idea and maybe research it for themselves, how can they learn more information about what you do, Urban Green Fair Festival? What's your website address?
It's www.urbangreenfair.org.
Okay.
And there's an email on there if anybody wants to chat more about it, and I'd be happy to give people any advice if they need it. But really, you can do it yourself. You just need a bit of,
You need a bit of willpower and ambition to make it happen, don't you?
Yeah.
And the rest falls into place.
That it's your right to do it.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of silly rules and things put up in your way,
telling us we can't do this and we can't do that. Yeah.
Bureaucratic stuff, but you can do it. It's your right, and it's fun.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Shane, for joining us. I have to have you back again at a different point and see what happens for next year, and see what I can do on my behalf to maybe help you get some more interested parties for that funding. So definitely would like to keep in touch with your organisation and see what happens for next year.
All right. Well, nice to talk to you, Valentine, and greetings from Brixton to Peterborough.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.
See ya. Okay, so that was Shane Collins, and great ideas of what he's done, and it's very inspirational. So if you liked the feel of that, if you liked what he had to say, you can look on the website, get in contact. And this what he does feeds into where we are in the world at the moment. If we're going to have a big change, if we're going to have a big shift in this world, it has to come from us. We cannot leave it to those in charge to make it happen for us. We have to be the ones to make it happen. So it's a matter of dedicating yourself to a cause and having the conviction to stick with it, as they say. But I'm going to crack on with the show, and I'm going to try and talk about MK Ultra and Project Monarch tonight. And later on, before we end the show, we'll be speaking with Tashara Forrest she's the director of Renewed Wellbeing, and she also goes by the stage name Sharon Angelica, and she'll be doing a musical performance for us. So I don't want to waste any more time because the show is moving quickly and I'm running out of time. So let's get on with my talk tonight. I'm personally amazed at the number of people who haven't heard of the MK Ultra program, as mind control is ingrained within the fabric of our society. We are constantly being bombarded with images, songs, words, or used in a way to elicit a certain response from our emotions through what they call brainwashing. And, brainwashing pretty much works like this. I can say a word to you about 5 or 6 times, and for whatever reason, you'll go home and you'll be saying that word to yourself. It's about the power of suggestion, and it's very powerful because the mind works on habit and repeating things. And, we are being bombarded all the time, buy this, buy this, buy this, and you must have this, you must have this, you must have this. And that is mind control. People don't realize that it's mind control, but it certainly is. So, mind control is not just science fiction. It's a very real concept, and it's around us every day. I'd like to actually just ask this question because I didn't get to see this show in its entirety, and I kept missing episodes of it. But did you ever get to see the show The Dollhouse? The Dollhouse was created by Joss Whedon, who is the producer of Buffy the Vampire Killer. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it starred Eliza Dushku, and Eliza's role in Buffy, she was the other Slayer. She had the dark hair. She was a bit on the bad side. So she plays the main role within the Dollhouse, and her character's name was Echo. Well, it looks like a fairly simple show, quite innocent. But if I was to tell you that what you were looking at was an element of MK Ultra, would you be surprised? Because that is exactly what that show was about. Eliza's character basically lived in an institution which they called the Dollhouse, and there'll be scenes you can see within the episodes, her sitting in a chair, and she's being programmed so that she can be hired out for various clients and tasks. So she doesn't have a real life of her own. She doesn't own her own memories. She's somebody else's property, an institution's property. And the Dollhouse is a very good example of what MK Ultra is out to create. With this series, The Dollhouse, it was paraded right in front of our eyes, and most people had no idea what they were watching. Now, it only was on air for about two series, and then it sort of disappeared. But if you can catch it, on a DVD or something, I personally would like to catch it on a DVD as well, because I need to go back and watch many of those episodes, because there was a lot of information being put out. And there's a lot to be said about Hollywood and what they know and how they use that information without us even being aware of it, So the term The Dollhouse, it relates to what we call the Russian dolls. We've all seen the Russian dolls where you have one doll inside of another doll inside of another doll. And that's the whole point of the MK Ultra experiments and mind control. Is to create further split personalities within the mind. So in the Dollhouse, Eliza Dushku's character, she was controlled through sedation and through high-tech gadgetry to produce multiple personalities that then she could use in different ways. She could be an assassin, she could be a sex slave, she could be many different things. The term MK comes from the German translation for mind control, Project Paperclip, which is another talk in itself. So the importation of Nazi German scientists and experts came from this Project Paperclip covert project. The official number is at least 1,000 of these individuals given safe haven in America and throughout Europe. One of the most famous Nazi scientist was the rocket scientist who helped to create NASA, because before him there was no NASA. He was the creator of NASA in terms of its space program, and that was Werner von Braun. MK Ultra officially began in 1953 in America. It was a covert operation managed by the CIA. Its earlier incarnation was Project Bluebird, which later morphed into MK Ultra. In 1973, the records for this project were destroyed by the then CIA director Richard Helms. And good thing for us, not all of the records were completely destroyed, as there was a bit of financial evidence left behind, and that's where we get a lot of the evidence for the MK Ultra project. In 1977, through a Freedom of Information Act, a request of 16,000 pages of mind control documents were found as part of the agency's financial history. MK Ultra was a massive undertaking, and a lot of damage was done to many innocent victims. There were at least 149 sub-projects. I mean, just think about that for a minute. 149 sub-projects being funded probably by taxpayer money and also corporate money. Many scientists being involved in that. That's many scientists. All working within the umbrella of MK Ultra, under the umbrella of the MK Ultra label. So some of the things that they were doing within this project was the development and testing of mind control drugs, such as LSD, which was sponsored by the CIA. And the overall goal with drug testing was to assist in the creation of amnesia, because through amnesia they can get you to do things and you won't remember what you did. There were inhumane experiments done on children. The deliberate creation of multiple personality disorder was one of the primary outcomes of MK Ultra. And through MPD, candidates could then be turned into unwilling victims who carried out orders to be assassins, spies, sex slaves, and through disassociation that occurs when you get multiple personality disorder, victims have no clue in their mind what is going on. They have no recall, only missing time, if they are even aware of that much. MK Ultra was a very serious project and included outrageous experiments within psychiatry. However, if you think that the seeds of MK Ultra did not sprout any further offshoots, then you are very mistaken. Mind control is very much a part of our world, and the research and experiments still go on. The project names change, but the outcome is still for the same purposes. I'm just going to quickly talk about Project Monarch. And to be honest, we really need a separate show just about this area because it's very deep. Project Monarch actually needs... Project Monarch is a program that is still in use today, and it focuses on disassociation through trauma. It is more of a code used to identify a type of mind control practiced within the MK Ultra umbrella. But trauma is the underlying technique, and within this type of mind control, high voltage electroshock devices are used, as well as implants. In addition, genealogical victimization is also common. So what does that mean? Well, that means that many children who have experienced hereditary incest and things of that nature are usually used within the projects because they're easy victims and they can easily disassociate and develop multiple personality disorder. The term monarch comes from the lightheadedness experienced through the electroshock that they receive, and one feels like they are floating or fluttering like a butterfly. All Project Monarch victims have a handler, and through triggers, signs and sounds and keywords, the victim goes into a trance within one of their personalities, ready to carry out orders or do what is asked. Have you ever seen the movie The Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher? Well, that's a very typical way of Hollywood communicating with us. I bet you just thought it was a movie about, time travel or something like that. But that's not the case at all. If you remember the premise, because the movie came out quite a few years ago now. But basically, Ashton Kutcher's character was badly molested by his friend's father. It was he and his friend both molested by the father, and also filmed to do kiddie porn. And as a way to fight back, Ashton Kutcher's character as an adult, you know, we see him having different scenarios with his life. So in one life he's a jock in college, in another life he's something else, and he's always trying to save his friend, who, you know, she was a female friend, you know, from